Andersen.
Alrighty, boys. I feel like it's been a while that I used this camera. Actually, to clean you guys off. Alright, well, I am continuing on things with the C55. We're gonna get to this thing and pull it in the garage for another video, but I'm still not really happy with our fix, quote unquote, for this thing. I mean, I got it running and driving, so I'm super happy about that. It's not like cutting out from being overly rich anymore, but it's still running a bit too rich, and I want to get some data off of the MAF and our O2 readings. So I'm going to plug in our scan tool right now and just see what kind of information we can get, because I was speaking with Rob from Needs Wings, who made our little MAF inlet elbow right here, and for whatever reason, guys, if you didn't watch the video, basically our fuel trims were pegged at -25 when I had this line routed how it's supposed to be. As soon as I unplugged that line and vented this to atmosphere, blocked that part off, the car became at least drivable again, and it wasn't, you know, choking itself out with fuel. Still running a little bit rich, but under wide open throttle, it was totally normal, and coasting with your foot off the gas pedal was totally normal. So I don't really know why that's the cause, because this is a full load breather. When you're just, you know, idling or cruising, this is pulling vacuum from the MAF. When you go full throttle, it's pushing air in to the MAF to relieve the crankcase pressure. So it's basically vacuum back and forth. It changes based on your throttle inputs. So I don't know why it's doing what it's doing, or why the change that I made changed it in the way it did. And that kind of bothers me, because I feel like I'm just kind of putting a band-aid fix on something without actually finding, you know, a proper solution, because that's a factory style inlet that should be working if it's post MAF sensor and, you know, that port is there. I don't understand what's going on exactly. So we're gonna do some testing, so at least I can have some data and be able to go off of that a little bit. So let me grab the keys and let's go try it out. All right, guys, so we're about to start our data stream. Shout out to Braden for sending me this over, fellow 203 owner of C32, but we were just talking about this in a group chat, and he was able to get me some stock readings. I think it's off of 112 actually, but it should be pretty similar to what should be baseline readings for you know, stock MAF and everything. So we're gonna get some MAF readings off of this, hopefully. I gotta see where they are, but once I find them, we'll get everything set up, and then let's do some live runnings. All right, guys, we found out our sensors. I just actually went into the regular OBD2 menu, but we have air rate, flow, intake, air temperature, manifold, absolute pressure, map sensor, long term, bank 1 and 2, and then I did all of the oxygen sensors, voltage. Let's go ahead and fire this thing up, see what we get. Okay, and these, I don't know how long that will take to actually read, because long terms take quite a while to read. On the Ultra Gauge, for instance, you got to be driving a while or drive it a few times. But let's go ahead and look up kilograms per hour versus grams a second. I think that's what that is. And he did cold idle versus hot idle too, so that number in theory should be lowering once we're hot, or when it warmed up. Now what's our 38 kPa versus So that seems about right. 16 to 20 for the I'll have to convert that. The air mass kilograms versus grams. Let's see. Let's just look up off of what we're reading right here. 9 point. Oh, now it's going on to 8. Let's just put 9.2. So it's down to 7.25. But if 9 was 32, then we can see his was 16 to 20. Oh, and God dang, I didn't hit record. All right, let's record. And then with the oxygen center voltages, they should basically be bouncing around like between 0.1 to 0.7, I believe. It looks like bank 2 is, it's not really moving. Secondary oxygen sensors are, they stay a little bit more solid. The primaries are the ones that bounce between like 0.1 to 0.7 back and forth. So that looks like they're reading okay. Okay, this is, I mean, that's not bad at all. What the heck? Like that is, for the most part, pretty normal. Let's see if this actually changes when I blip the throttle. Yeah, this... Wow. Okay. There's a few possibilities here. Either our ultra gauge was reading incorrectly, or the tune has adjusted, or ECU adapted, I should say. I'm a bit confused, but those are pretty good numbers right there. We do have, this one is really not budging at all. But neither is this one now that it's warmed up. So I don't think that's an issue. This number seems well within range. This number might be a little bit high. What does it do when we blip the throttle? Is that raise or is that... And it doesn't smell weird at all right now. Like it's totally fine. The one thing too that I want to try is to plumb that hose back in after this. But the one thing I'll notice when that hose is plugged in versus when it's not is, watch this. The car is a lot slower to come down off of revs versus when I have that hose plumbed in. It seems a lot happier. So, well, this is good that I'm looking at this. Strange, to be honest, but okay. This is kind of enough for me to move forward. So let's try to plug in that hose and start the car back up and see if it immediately goes to something not good again. We know it's just, for whatever reason, either the distance between the sensor and that port is not within what it should be factory, so it's getting upset, or there's something else going on that it doesn't like about that. So let's try it and see what happens. Alright guys, that is plumbed back in now. I made extra sure the hose is not kinked or anything like that. And I made sure to tighten both ends up. So let's see if it goes immediately rich. I feel like that's kind of a smoking gun. That distance is not correct. So let's Fire it up. Oh yeah, it smells rich. Yep, it's all right, so it goes to 0. Now you can see it's just pegged at -25. So it does go to 0. The rev hang I feel like is the same as it was. Dang, this is crazy. That's literally the change. And I don't understand why, other than the distance of that inlet just might not be far enough. It doesn't change much as far as our airflow data. A tiny bit maybe, but this is bad. It should not be sitting there pegged at -25. And that's the same as what I thought it was before. I thought it was a difference between the two. I think it's just kind of hanging there no matter what, a little bit. But yeah, I'll have to share this data with Rob, see what he says, and see if we need to make an adjustment to the elbow. But for now, guys, I think the obvious choice is to leave that port blocked off and vent to atmosphere. Alright guys, well, I plugged things back how they were. Got that blocked off, put in our vent to atmosphere filter again, and then I also rerouted my catch line, or catch can lines a little bit, just made them a little more direct. Before I had them kind of hidden coming up down there from the bottom, which I don't think would affect anything at all, to be honest, but just to play it safe, I try to keep them a little more level. This was collecting oil or blow by, so you know it was working, but just to be on the safe side, we did that. So I'm not really sure what else to try right now. As far as things go, I could put the stock MAF housing back on, but that also doesn't fit with the hood. So if the car is decently happy right now, I would rather keep the needs wing setup as is. I do have a new crankshaft position sensor that I got to throw on this car. It's not like it's doing anything incorrect right now, but it's getting old and would be good to throw on there, so probably take care of that soon. But let's go ahead and fire it up again and just confirm our data that we were seeing earlier, and that will kind of put some ease to mind, at least for now. Alright, let's see what these show up at. Like it smells noticeably different when I have this the way it is now versus when I had it plumbed in. You guys know what a bad rich smell smells like in a modern car. It's like burns your eyes bad. and that's what I was getting with it plugged in, that full load port. So let's see, yeah, see, it doesn't even get to -12 right now, so that's a dramatic difference, and I don't really understand why still, but this is telling me it's doing something. So I kind of got to trust the data right now, even if I don't have the exact, answer as far as engineering goes or mechanicals go right now of what's causing this. Alright guys, well, I don't really know what else. Oh my gosh, falling over. Falling on the basketball hoop. I don't really know what else to examine right now, but it's at least decently happy. And we know it's at least safe to drive, so it's kind of where I gotta leave things. I'll relay the information back to Rob and Josh and see kind of what the plan is, or if there's anything else we should try at this point, and then go from there. I think I'm going to research maybe a little bit of what would be a good method of relieving some of the crankcase pressure. I do know that when you drill out like the ports, those little pinhole ports on the breather chambers, a lot of times the NAs don't like it. I did it on my CLK, it didn't make a difference, but the M113K is different because there's no MAF sensor. This car, however, I know the NAs react kind of negatively to that, so I'm not really sure what to do. I've seen some people run catch cans individually for both sides. Maybe that could help, but yeah, still trying to formulate a plan. So that's it. I felt like the last video was just kind of a lot of going on and on, trying to figure out what was going on or what could maybe potentially fix it. We finally found something, but now we have to find what's causing that something, and that's a whole nother can of worms. So that's why I made this video, because I didn't want to feel like I was just scamming you guys, like I found some random thing to try differently. It ended up working magically and didn't have any explanation to it or anything. So that's what this video is really for. I was trying to dive into the actual data, give you guys some ideas. Maybe you're facing something similar on your car, going to this whole new territory with the intake manifold spacers and all the other mods that I have done to it. It's important to document, and I've learned now that I wish I collected more data early on into modding this thing, because it would be nice to be able to cross compare. For instance, before I ever changed up the intake setup, I wish I had intake air temperature readings and manifold pressure readings and MAF readings, and then I could compare that with all the different intake setups that I've done since then, because it would make it easier to track with a proper amount of data. But I don't have any of that because I wasn't reading. I was just changing things and taking the car out to rip. And yeah, I've learned I'm not gonna do that anymore. So that's it. Hope you guys are having a good one wherever you are. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know if you got any comments, questions down below. Like, subscribe, all that weird YouTube stuff, and peace. See you on the next one.